Good. Just one more block. I want to show you something. Okay, there's a... Wait.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Back.
Back. Alright, let's just do one of these. Dang, nabbit. I don't want to examine the jerk. Alright, here we go. No, out of range. Jerk 2.0!
That was quick.
Got him. And you again. Blap, 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 blap. We will dash away.
Comes. You're up.
Got him. And finish. Oop. Wrong attack. Yeah, it was a waste of a move. Just wait until this cooldown comes and I'll hit ya. I hit you good.
They're gone.
Intro. Hello everyone, my name is Atratzu, and today I'm giving you my thoughts on Transistor, a game developed by Supergiant Games and released back in 2014. It's hard to believe that it's been that long since 2014, but time keeps on ticking. I played 8 hours of the game, first time through to complete the story, and then my second time through totaled my gameplay time to 15 hours. So, something that I like to just kind of explain about Supergiant Games is that Supergiant Games is just the developer that you want to go to for self-contained experiences. If you just want to play a video game and enjoy it, I say you should probably check out Supergiant Games as the developer. All of their games that they come up with are phenomenal and fantastic. If they're the same developers that made Pyre, they've made Bastion, they've made... I've exhausted the limit. Hades is the other game. I have not played Hades yet, but every game that I've played from Supergiant Games has been fantastic. And I cannot encourage people enough to check out Supergiant Games, any of their games. Their experiences are so fresh, dazzling, unique, amazing music, fascinating visuals, an interesting, intriguing story. Yeah, highly recommended. So with that, hopefully you'll stick around with this video to see what else I have to say about Transistor and kind of get an idea of what kind of game it is. So I just jumped us into a new game really quick. When you start the game, this is the first screen that you see, and this is how they tell the story. What a way to start a game, huh? You tap a button, and then this green sword-looking thing called the Transistor starts to talk. And you get exposition from the transistor as you play through the game. You play as the protagonist Red, and your sidekick Green Sword Transistor, excuse me. You can get as much out of the world as you want. So you can see here you can come over to the gown, interact with it, and then the Transistor will be like, hey, that was a tough night, wasn't it? And so, you just interact with the world and get more information from it. You have these different OVC consoles that you can interact with, or you can skip them. I interacted with everything that I possibly could find, and I went and I did a lot of backtracking. So my playthrough was particularly slow. So do keep that in mind. This is not a very long game, but it's a very satisfying game. And I'm going to spare us the whole intro section here. The short of the story is, I mean, you need to figure it out for yourself, and the less you know about the game's story going into it, the better, because a big part of it is just puzzling out the story for yourself. There's a lot of open area for interpretation. Once again, you play as Red. Your Transistor was this fellow who was impaled, and his personality is now in the Transistor, the green sword looking thing. And there's been kind of a radical movement, some kind of they're not even government. They're just like it's more like a cult that is trying to take over the city with something called the process, which let's just walk on over here and see our first enemy over here really quick. With the process, here it is, the process. You hit it. Oh, look at this. It's this enemy called a creep. And so you destroy the process. That's what the transistor does. If you don't destroy those, if you don't grab the little cells that drop on the ground, then the enemies respawn. Anyway, you're fighting the process. The process is taking over the city, and Red and the Transistor are trying to, well, kind of get revenge, kind of stop what's going on. Again, it's a little bit complicated, and there's a lot of open area left to interpretation. So I would recommend not looking into it much more than that. It's the futuristic, sci-fi-esque. Yeah. The Transistor is part action RPG game, part turn-based strategy game. It's a very interesting gameplay feel. However, we're going to skip this intro section here and jump straight into once the tutorial stuff is done. It takes maybe only, maybe 5 minutes to play through the tutorial area of the game, but we're just going to jump on ahead. Alright, so we have progressed much farther into the game. Not that far that I'm not concerned about spoiling anything. This is just what you would see if you played for 5 or 10 minutes of Transistor, and you'd get to this point pretty quickly. But this lets me actually show some of the gameplay elements. So first off, let's cover my favorite thing to do, cover the user interface that we have here. First off, movement, you move around with WASD. You also have controller support, so if I use my Xbox controller, as you can see, it all transitioned immediately. It's pretty nifty when games do that. So now you'll see that all the actions have switched. I can press A, I can press B, I can press X, and I can press Y for all of my moves. But if I go back to my keyboard, like I prefer to do, I then have the benefit of being able to use my mouse as well as the keyboard. So, move around with WASD. There are a couple flourish type moves that you can do. You can press Q to do this spin. There's no point to this. It's never needed. And oh, you can do that. I was just like, there's no way that you can press tab now, but you can press tab at any point in any part of the game, and Red will hum along to the song. Oh, and the music. Again, I'm not going to emphasize it nearly as much as I should. I'm tempted to just play Transistor in the background just to listen to the music in the game, because the music is so fantastic. I can't sing the praises of it high enough. Same thing for Bastion. I really love the music in Bastion, so much so that I've tried learning music from Bastion on the guitar. So if that doesn't tell you how good this music is, I don't know what will. You switch between your different moves. You can only have 4 moves active at a time, and then we get into kind of the nitty-gritty stuff of the moves, but we'll hold off on that for a second. Next up, you have your right click, which is your attack, and you can left click on the ground, and that will place a spot to run to. So you could probably play this with just a mouse. I wouldn't recommend that, but I think you could. No, you would need something to be able to press spacebar to enter into your turn mode. So, oh no, you could just tap turn there. Well, look at that. As always, Supergiant Games designing games smart. Below the turn button here, this is your health, and then, yeah, we've explained everything in the user interface. When you're in turn mode, this is where the game goes from an action RPG to a turn-based strategy game. So you can be like, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to attack here. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to attack here, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to attack here, and then I'll go here, and then that'll run out. As you can see at the top here, this is now the whole queue list of processes that I can, or tasks that I can run. Are they called processes? I know it's called the process, but operations. I think they're called operations. Sorry. All right. So then I press enter, not enter. I press spacebar to execute. So now we'll do the entire sequence that we mapped out. Attack, move, move. And now as you see at the top of the screen, I can't attack and do any moves until that bar cools down. And now you know the basic gameplay mechanic. Learning and mastering the gameplay mechanic is a whole different thing. So let's first just go into a quick fight here. We have a new enemy here. Again, we've got to get those cells. I'll switch between several different attacks. You start out with only 2 attacks, but you pick up the rest of them really quickly, and then you mix and match them together. So now we're learning, oh, the creeps can heal up inside of these little tentacle-looking guys. So I'll just use one of my favorite abilities, which is just this spread shot scatter bomb type thing. And ta-da! First fight done. After you finish a fight, you get like a recap on what you fought, your experience gain, and then you level up. Now, these here are your save locations, but more than that, they also act as where you can access upgrades, where you can change your moves out. So, let's remove, and remove. All right? Will it let me leave? No, it won't let you leave without having at least one. So we'll leave right now. So now you can see we only have one move, all right? The fun thing about Transistor is learning how these moves interact with each other. So again, let's just demonstrate really quickly. Please bear with me. This might be a tiny bit slow for some people, but it takes a little bit to get used to. First, I want you to notice, well, I mean, we can notice the name here. This is Crash, this is Breach, and this is Spark, all right? When you use Crash, you see the animation that it has, right? This is the attack that you're working with. It also stuns, has a bit of a stunning effect on enemies too. Breach, as you can see, is a long-range, like, arrow shot that you fire off, all right? And I don't think there's anything else there. It's just a high-damage, long shot. And then Spark, as you can see, it goes out, it has a limited range. It doesn't go all the way. So if I stand here, I'm not going to be able to get all the way up to those plants up there. But you can have this effect where you click and then out come all the little bombs. Now, let's mix these 3 moves together somehow, all right? So, think about what we have here. Let's remove this one, and instead, let's add this to this. Now, you can read the descriptions down here, which I would recommend doing. It helps you understand what the function is going to do, but you can also just think about logically how they affect each other. So now I have done this crash effect on top of our spark move. It has the same range, but if we hit something, it'll change. Instead, it'll bring stuff down. A more obvious thing might be if we were to apply this one instead. If we were to apply this to Crash, we would have longer range. So you remember we couldn't get the plants from here? I just applied Crash to it again. I was just like, how dare you make me a liar, game? You can't make me a liar. I know how this game works. I've spent so much time now. There it is. See, so now you've drastically increased the range on this move. You might also be noticing, if you are a keen observer, that there is a lock sign down here. As you level up, you'll be able to unlock that, and that means that every single function that you have, that's called a function, every function that you have will be able to have 2 upgrade slot effects. There is also a passive slot effect too. You'll unlock passive effects, and they'll do something similar. I think that Crash just gave you a general, like, resistance. Crash is just a good move for everything. But you might try to do something very strange. So let's do jaunt, which is your, like, dash forward move, and let's add this to it, all right? So now, I think if I understand correctly, I should jaunt and then the sparks should come out. Yeah, see? So now your jaunt, which normally is just a dash, is now an attacking move. And it's all about learning how you can interact with these different moves. So let's add this one instead to here and see how that affects it. All right. I think I have to read up on that one. I think it turns it into a slash attack, but I need to check that. Remove, set function, yep, base damage, target penetration. So that it turns it into an attack. So let's just do something simple for now. Let's set this and set this. This is my preferred start loadout. And I don't know what else I'm going to do. Now there's something else you should notice. You see over here that the mem is being filled up. There's a limit. There's a limit to how much you can install on red. Or the transistor, I suppose these are functions that are being installed on the transistor, actually. But there's a limit to how much you can do. So you'll get a lot of moves, actually. And I don't want to show much more than this because learning all about the different moves that come in is another big part of the game. There's not much that I want to say about Transistor because a lot of it is just self-contained, experimenting and learning the game as you go along. Again, I want to try to do what I can to demonstrate the gameplay, but I also really don't want to spoil anything because just everything about this game is...
No cue to get in.
Oh, I didn't realize that I was interacting with this. Okay. Everything about this game is just so like linked together. The experience with the game. So I like to play action RPG mode as much as possible. But the jerk doesn't really give you the chance, so I'm just going to spark, spark, spark. Now, in the turn mode, you'll sometimes notice that there are diminishing returns on certain moves and certain effects, so you always want to keep an eye on that. And sometimes it's good to just unload on one big baddie. Other times you need to spread it out. Other times you need to run away. And you have to plan when you're going to retreat, when you're going to attack. So... all of that is part of the game. And so I've just, you can attack these packets instead, but, you know, I just left those alone. And we have leveled up. Excellent. With that level up, we now get to choose a new function. So we can choose switch or we can choose load. Honestly, I'm not going to use either of these, so we'll just choose switch for now. That's what I would put on my bar at this point. All right, and yeah. Here are the terminals that you can interact with.
They're saying everyone up and left.
This isn't it. I never noticed anything significant about ignoring these terminals on my second playthrough, but I would recommend checking out the terminals because, again, it's more background information of the story. And when commenting, the comment being posted is Red. Red's posting it. Sometimes Red is talking to the Transistor also. So, you know, keep your eyes on that. But there are also polls and fun little side things that you can do. So, again, I would recommend checking out these consoles for the extra bits of the story. And the story is just really worthwhile in checking it out. But yeah, at this point, I don't know that there's much more that I would want to demonstrate or explain about Transistor. I'm going to jump into my progressed game here so you can see what it looks like towards the end of the game. That's going to be highly spoilerish because like I've got a build that I had that I set up. Didn't follow any guides online, although there are guides online. I got everything, did all the extra side stuff, so I'll demonstrate some of the things that you have later on in the game. But again, I would encourage you to, if you want to keep watching, no problem, I appreciate it, but, you know, promptly forget everything that you're going to see from this point on. But yeah, just another comment that, I mean, maybe it's because I'm just dumb and slow, but I just thought it was funny on how this is all like programming-esque. So crash, in brackets, breach, spark, jaunt, bounce. There's a move called ping. So it's just like amusing that it's all like command prompt type moves. I was amused by that anyway. Again, Supergiant Games is great about making games. So let's spoil stuff, shall we? Anyone that wants to know about the settings, this is how you get into you go to profiles. This is how you switch between different games. I thought I was going to have to move my save file out, because when you start the game, you jump right into this screen. It's not conventional loading. So as you can see, I got to user level 27, so I went beyond that, and you keep leveling. Once you finish the game, as you can see, it's the Bay Plus. After you finish the game, you get to replay through the game again with all your abilities and all your levels and all those things, and you get to play through it again. All right, let's load this. And here we are. So, did I... Oh, that's right. I was demonstrating. Okay, so later on in the game, you pick up limiters, and the limiters, this was in Pyre as well. You get bonus experience for having the limiters on. You get it. You also have it in Bastion too. I'm seeing a trend. Limiters, the goal of the limiter is to make the game harder on yourself. So even while I was playing through, I had a couple limiters on to get bonus experience so that I would level up a little bit faster. When you play New Game Plus, the world kind of scales along with you, so I don't know that it makes necessarily that big of a difference. You'll also notice that as I've continued leveling and unlocked all the different moves, I've unlocked doubles. And so you just continue to unlock moves as you level up. Now, I don't know that it's the smartest thing for me to be demonstrating my attempt at playing through with all the limiters, because the limiters are making this just significantly tougher for me. But you know what? We're going to go for it. See if I can demonstrate my prowess with this game. Here's the basics of the strategy for this fight that we're going into. This move, Void, it creates a weakness and you stack it. And then again, I wasn't joking, Spark is one of my favorite abilities. And as you can see, I gave it far range and I gave it crash. So again, the fact that they give you this setup pretty early on in the game, you can get really far with it if you know how to play it. Then I've got a couple passives on. I have this basically like when I kill something, when it's passive, I become undetectable for a short time. And this one lets me do more functions while in the planning in the turn phase. And then of course I have my own little smoke screen kind of move that I have here. The limiters make everything harder. So you just have to go through each one of these. This cooldown period is faster. Twice the processes will attack with twice the power. More cells will spawn when you beat one. The process respawn time will be less. The process will spawn greater in numbers and sometimes greater enemies. User will cause functions to overload by installing them at the access point. So if I tried to switch out stuff, I will overload functions if that one's on. So that one's a frustrating one. But it's also like if you find a load that you like, you can just stick with it. When a when a function overloads, you just have to wait for a couple save points and it naturally comes back. You don't lose that move indefinitely. And process corrupt cells. Corrupt cells, if you grab a corrupt cell, it does damage to you. Functions overload, recover one per will overload more functions at once and recover. Right, so if you lose, you get punished even more. And user will lose. Right, you lose memory and will no longer automatically activate turn at low health. All right, so a couple of those are just like safe to have, but as you can see, I got a 32% increase in my bonus level, but I did this because I wanted an achievement. Of course I did. That would be the only reason that I would do that. So we will interact with that, go in there, run away, and let's, again, my strategy is to try to, oh boy, all right. All right, so one. Okay, I think he's voided as much as he can be. So let's go here. Crash, 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 crash. Actually, excuse me, spark, spark, spark. And we'll do that. We will have our 3 set up. So once our time runs out, we will switch to disappear. Again, our health is pretty low. Oh, time's up. Oh. Now that I've lost something, I've lost void. So, kind of out of luck there. Get out of here. Oh, I'm being dumb. I should have waited. All right. Now I've got one move. I only have Spark. Yeah, we'll see if I can kill it with Spark. From a map away. Ooh. All right, we'll pick this one. That is that corrupted? No. Grab that. Hey, did it. I demonstrated that I was able to beat a fight with all of the limiters on. That's what I like doing. I like being able to demonstrate that I can play through the game. All right, we're not actually going to play through more of the game with that. There's one area that I want to show, but I can't really show that. Can't get to it with all of these on. I want to have an easier time getting to that really quick, and I might have to jump forward here. All right, they gave me so much power. Look at it. Oh, that's right. I burnt out things. Crap. Let's do that, and let's do that, and let's do that, and let's do... Ooh, where is it? No, I want something else. What else should I... What should I give my puppers? I'll give my puppers that, and I'll give my puppers that, and I'll just... I've got another one of those. Why don't I just put that in there? And why don't I put that in there? New active kill base attack, whatever that does. I don't know that I've actually played with that in that slot. And I've got one more empty slot, and I'll put that there. Is there something else I could have done? Nah. All right. Now we're full on. So let's find the sandbox. Ah, excellent. This is what I was looking for. This back door area here, you'll find these holographic doors that'll just pop up, and that goes to a sandy beach area. And this is where you access and you learn a lot more about the game. In this area, this is just, there are all these light doors that open up, and you do challenges. You're given various challenges to go through. Unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate any of them. But the idea is that like one of them was this door specifically, the planning test. You needed to do everything that you could possibly do to defeat all the enemies in one turn. So it was, again, a strategy game at that point, which was really interesting. And it was more like a puzzle solving solution thing at that point, because you just had to figure out what the solution was with the moves that you were given. And then stability test. I don't remember what was in the stability test. One of them was just you had to last as long as possible. This one, there was a timer that you had to defeat all the enemies in the area before it was done. And over here, you had... I don't remember what that one was. And agency test. Agency test is you needed to fight yourself. And it was semi-calculated. It's one of the only spots that I ran into a problem with Transistor, because the loadout that I chose made it so that the AI bugged out and wouldn't actually take his turn. He would make a turn, but then the AI would never actually make the move. It would just sit on their turn, and there's no timer to kick them off of it or anything like that. So I had to reset my game every time and try out with a different loadout. And nothing else with that. But yeah, I just wanted to show this area because you've got a music box here that you can switch between with the R or space keys. You also have a pupper that you can summon, and you have a ball that you can beat up. And it counts how many times you bounce the ball. You have an idea hammock. This beach is just so dang cozy. You can switch which one you're doing. This is the song that I always left it on. I always left it on coasting. As you play through the challenges, these different doors, you unlock different songs. So you could just go through all of these different songs that you want to listen through. But why would I do that when I already have the one song that I love, which is at the beginning? There it is, coasting, coasting, coasting. There it is. I already have the song that I want. I don't want any more songs. One final thing to say about the game before we're wrapping up here now. I feel like at any point you can just screenshot Transistor and it could become a computer desktop background. It's just that kind of just colorful, beautiful, interesting world. And I'm very glad that I got the chance to play through this game. And if this game has seemed interesting to you at all, hopefully you will check it out too. Otherwise, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. My name is Atratzu, and I will see you in the next video. I had no idea that the sun changed colors here. Ah, what a beautiful game.
What's behind door number 5? So calm. We can come here for practice.
All right.
It's a fake. Looks real enough.
Are there any other ones? All right. We are gonna do the most damage ever. Boom, boom, boom. 50-27. A new record.
Even better.
Much better than you can do for just going blat, 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 blat. It's reasonable, but nothing near as devastating. What if we tried this, though? Oop. Alright, so if we tried this instead. It'll destroy them all, but not nearly as much damage. That's the whole point of the training area.